Hi, Vinny. Thank you very much for this occasion, for this opportunity. We really love this eco event. First of all, we wanted to know your impressions about it. What do you think? What do you think about it, and about the speakers and the content, the location?
Yeah, I think it stands out from a lot of conferences because it's such a prestigious university, whereas a lot of conferences, they're normally, in quite remote, strange areas. But, has a lot of tone of seriousness and it helps the topic in that way. It's not people coming dressed as little green aliens and things like that, which has been in the subject for so many years now. It's nice to see it break away into sort of the mainstream kind of, science kind of based aspect, let's say. So very impressed. It was very well put together and very well organized, and the caliber of guest speakers was fantastic.
Yeah, and of course, congratulations for making this happen. Okay, let's talk about you and Disclosure Team. Disclosure Team is definitely one of the most watched podcasts in the world about UAPs, one of the most informative, and of course, it's probably the best name ever for a podcast. So talking about disclosure, what's your opinion now after all you've done about that? Are we getting any closer? We will see it in our lifetime. What do you think?
I believe we are in the process of disclosure. I think as we continue year by year, we get a clearer picture that it's not just going to be point A to point B, it's point A and zigging and zagging around before we get there. And things come up that may hold us back for a few months, little roadblocks, but I still think we are moving in the right direction. I think there's a lot of people putting in a lot of work to help that continue to be the case. And I do think we will get some form of confirmation in our lifetime that we are.
Probably a better word now.
I should be confirmation team.
Confirmation team. Well, it can be, not great.
Yeah, I think that would be the big thing. It's confirmation that we are sharing this world with a non-human intelligence. Exactly. Then comes the who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? How long have they been here? And many, many more questions. So.
Of course. Yeah, like you, Elizondo, was saying, it's a process. Disclosure is a process, not an event. Yeah, that's very true. Okay. For example, with UAP education, we decided to focus mostly on uneducated people on UAP because we realized, especially around the world of universities, academics, there's a lot of interest, but there's a lot of stigma, even more than in everyday, average people, that probably are a little freer to talk about the topic. But we think that there's a lot of contribution that is needed to make this confirmation possible, not only government acts, legislations, which are, of course, very important and fundamental, but also sociologists and social scientists, humanities should really get into the discussion. What would be your suggestion, for example, for people that are not familiar with the topic, and most of all scientists, since we were at the Sorbonne, at the university, to engage the phenomenon in the right way?
I think what you're doing is fantastic because it does bridge the gap between the general public who may not be or know much about the subject and are curious, and then you have on the top, you have all the people in the UFL world who are already, talking about it in a quite a deep way. So you bridge that gap, and I think is fantastic. And one thing I would suggest to anybody who's sort of new to the subject is don't be afraid to jump in anywhere. Everyone finds their own path. I think, it may seem daunting at first because there's so much information, there's a lot of disinformation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think if people are persistent, they will find out that they create their own sort of avenue into the subject. And also, for people to reach out to people already in the subject, because, I think there's a lot of people willing to help. And it helps reduce the stigma by bringing in new people, fresh minds, who aren't already bogged down with too much information.
Well, and that's talking about podcasts. I think podcasts are the new face of modern, well, let's call it ufology, but maybe it's a term that a lot of people don't like. I don't know what's your opinion about that. But actually, for example, what would be a good new name. I don't know if you ever thought about that.
Well, instead of ufologist?
Yeah.
I mean, I consider myself a UAP researcher.
Exactly.
Some people may say, well, that is a ufologist. Maybe. I just don't use the phrase, you know. It's okay.
Absolutely. We also use that word, investigators, researcher, because it looks more scientific and it hints to that, you know. And I think also podcasts were really instrumental in making spreading the word and probably attracting some younger people. I don't know, for example, your audience. Do you have a picture of how your audience is composed? For example, the average age, gender, or something that it's like can help us understanding what are the young people interested in your.
There are, yes, certainly. My main age range would be probably between 30 and 40,
Okay.
but coming close to that is kind of your late teens and into the 20s, which is really good to see. The gender split is obviously it's more male orientated for the audience. I do want to kind of work on that. I believe that there's a lot of great female researchers coming through at the moment. But, you know, it's a global thing. I'm really happy that my audience is a global audience. And one thing I always said about my show in particular is that these are conversations that I would have with these guests in the pub with a beer. It would be the same.
Yes.
I'm just putting it out on the internet for others to watch. And if they can get something from it, then that's great.
I think that's the magic of podcasting, actually. And that's what really changed. And about what you said, now also you have a team of disclosure
Ladies, yeah.
disclosure ladies. Which actually we are also following, and they are doing a great job. And actually, I really like the fact that they are really precise. For example, in reconstructing cases, which actually is what we need, because
absolutely
many people don't know it, and with the means of social media, it can be really get viral. And
that's it. You know, I love being on social media, but I don't have that creative part of me to make it presented in the way that these ladies are doing it so well. And I think that appeals to the younger people as well, who this TikTok, Instagram generation, who may see these really glossy, well put together reels of UFO cases. It might bring more people in that way. So I'm totally.
Yeah, and one more question, last question for
you.
What's your suggestion for? You partly said that already, but for example, for young podcasters or people that want to talk about the topic, raise awareness, but using digital medias.
I just think it's great to plan and these kind of things, but there's nothing better than just jumping in and doing it. That's how I did it. I spent a couple of weeks thinking, trying to put together, right, I need to do this, and this first. And then I thought, no, all I need to do is turn on the camera with a guest, hit record or go live. Because I started off by doing live, put that instant pressure on myself.
Of course.
And it was the best thing I ever did. And when people now message me and said, I want to start a podcast, can I have some advice? I'm like, just do it.
Just do it.
Simple as that, You can, I look back at my first few shows and I'm like, oh my goodness, I was robotic and not natural. But again, that's just all part of the process. Yeah.
Okay, so just do it. And thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.